What's up, family? Hey, just especially in celebration of my fourth son being born, yesterday, I just wanted to put out a video, and I just wanted to talk about just the honor of being a father. The scripture says that God was addressing the people of Israel, and he said, if I'm a father, where is my honor? And I think one of the things we as men, we have to do is we have to understand that there's an honor in fatherhood. Too often you go to church and the joke is made that the church is full on Mother's Day and it's empty on Father's Day. A lot of that has to speak to our culture too. The lack of fathers in the home, the fact that many children grow up without seeing their father or knowing their father. Many of them don't respect their father. And what happens is we get a culture where fatherhood is not respected. We have to rebuild the honor of what a father is. Now, what is a father supposed to do? Well, the main thing a father is supposed to do is to be respected in the home. He needs to be respected because he is the rule of the home. He gives the laws of the home. When you talk about Adam, one of the things that he was given was a moral law. And I think that when we start as men, what we need to understand is that we have to understand the law of God, because we're going to be enforcing the law of God in our homes. And so our interpretation skills are going to be put to the test every single day. Now, a lot of men, what they'll do is they'll understand scriptures and then they'll get into a situation and they'll back down. So what I mean by that is they'll say to themselves, the kids shouldn't run behind the garage, for example. And they'll be at a party and they'll say, hey, kids, don't run behind the garage. And then their wife will correct them and say, no, it's okay. And they say, I guess it's okay. Well, do you really think it's okay? Because I don't think you would have. You really do. You just got overruled by your wife. And being overruled by your wife means you don't have that respect in the home. And that's something that shouldn't happen. So here's the thing as men, what we have to do is we have to rebuild our status in the home. One of the things I've heard many men say, and I think it's just so true, is this: I'd rather be respected than loved, especially by my children. And that's the truth. Before we can focus on love, we must focus on respect, because that's a higher order. Now, it doesn't feel as good. And I understand that a lot of people will say, well, love is important, and it is important. But the truth of the matter is that when it comes to fatherhood, it is important that we are obeyed in the home. And we need to enforce strict obedience. I have a rule that I do not repeat myself in the home. So if I say something once and it is clearly understood, now there's cases where it's not clearly understood and I'll give leeway for that. But when I'm talking to my children and they clearly understand my instructions and they don't obey it, well, then I have to enforce justice on it. And that's where we have physical discipline. I know physical discipline is not always something that's popular nowadays, but kids don't truly understand anything but physical discipline. You can talk to them and sternly lecture them, but lectures work as people get older. So when you're 14, you can understand a lecture. When you're 12, you can understand it. When you're 10, you understand it less. And as you go down towards the ages, when you get to 2, you can lecture the kid all you want to about not throwing a toy at his brother. But the lecture is not going to do nothing to a 2-year-old. What he needs to understand is to associate in his mind pain with bad behavior. The fact that you will then enforce that, right? Your bad behavior means a spanking and you will feel pain because of that. Now that you feel pain, I want you to associate bad behavior with pain, because he will take that with him as an adult. And we're not doing this out of spite or anger. What we're doing is we're trying to reinforce that good behavior leads to reward and bad behavior will lead to punishment. And if you do that properly, you will grow somebody that will eventually understand God's law. And God's law starts with punishment and justice. It doesn't start with love. And that's the mistake a lot of people make. God's law does not start with love. It starts with judgment. There is something that applies to everybody but doesn't apply. And let me rephrase that. Judgment applies to everybody. Love applies to some. And what we need to understand is this, that God's ultimate law for everybody in the whole world is judgment, justice. And those who believe in him receive mercy, love. And so when we talk about what is more important to teach, what's more important to understand is the judgment of God. That is key. and they will never understand that unless they associate bad behavior with pain. And that starts with a father. So just want to thank God that my child was born safely into the world, and also speak to the importance of fathers. So, hey, man, be proud that you're a father. I'm very proud that I'm a father. I'm proud of my 4 boys, and I'll talk more about that in future videos.